Good afternoon. You're listening to Gambling with an Edge. Now here are your hosts, Bob Dancer and Richard Munchkin.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Gambling with an Edge. I'm Bob Dancer.
And I'm Richard Munchkin.
Today, our guest is familiar to all our listeners. It's Anthony Curtis, visits us one more time. Anthony, welcome back to Gambling with an Edge.
Good to see you.
All right. So you're head of Huntington Press and Las Vegas Advisor. Are there any books on Huntington Press which are near to be released?
Yeah, actually, yes. Did I say this last time I was on? I think I did. Yes, we're very close on several. I mean, by the time the year is out, we'll have probably 4 to 6 books released. The current one, the closest one, are the ones that everybody's been waiting for, which are the 2 books from James Grosjean, tentatively titled The Ultimate Report, and the second one is The Ultimate Report Lockdown Edition. Lockdown Edition being a reference to, he wrote this during the COVID lockdown. And I guess it's really scary when you give James Grosjean time and a reason, right? Because the guy sleeps about 2 hours a day and works anyway. So I guess during lockdown he worked even harder, and it's pretty amazing. These are books about pretty much about the Carney games.
Uh-huh.
Now the lockdown edition, is that available to the public? Or is that like Exhibit CAA where it's a limited release?
He and I are talking about it. You know, you never know exactly what you're getting when you get in with this guy, you know. But I can tell you that the first one, The Ultimate Report, is going to be a book that's actually in bookstores. So finally there's going to be a James Grosjean book in bookstores. It's going to be, we refer to it, our code is the basic strategy book. And this is a book about, all the ins and outs of playing the different Carney games, from the ones that have been around for a long time, like 3-card poker and Mississippi Stud, to some of the new ones, flop poker, crisscross poker, this sort of thing. What's interesting about these books and this book and why it's valuable is that in the basic strategy book, basically there's no information in there, or it's very sparse on how to beat the games. But what it does do is it takes away from the common players. The mistakes they make are unbelievable. They make mistakes in games that are giving the casinos double-digit advantages when they're not supposed to have it, and sometimes in excess of 20%. So you do 1 or 2 small things that James brings out, and all of a sudden you're dropping that down real close to the optimal edge of sometimes under 3%. So it's a big savings for people who like to play these games. Even something as simple as Let It Ride, it's a big savings, and this book will probably be priced somewhere around $25. All right, now the second one, the Lockdown Edition, there he gets into it, man. And he gets into vulnerabilities of these things and where money can be made. And this is going to be another Grosjean special, that's going to have a really big price tag on it, and it will probably be a monitored distribution. This won't be on bookshelves. This will be a couple $100 probably, and it's for pros. It's as he's apt to do, as he likes to do.
Yeah. And you mentioned you're editing the book, which
Oh, he must be easy to edit.
It's editing Grosjean is a very delicate process. And I mean, for a number of reasons. One is how are you going to overrule him on his numbers, right? You're not.
Obviously, you can't.
You can't. So. He's the guy that I go to. If I need something checked out or whatever. Or that most people go to. So I'm not gonna. I don't even try to check his numbers, to be honest with you. I mean, what for? Every once in a while I'll see something that I go, is that right? And I'll do a cursory check. It's always right. And I just go. So I just kind of look at it like that. But then you get into the prose, right? The writing, and it's amazing how good he is. He is such an excellent writer. I mean, all kinds of jokes and hidden meanings.
Yeah,
and
that's the other thing. His writing is very funny.
It's extremely good, and it's very funny. It's very fun to read. That's why I think that the first one, the $25 book, is a really great opportunity for people to get a view into James Grosjean, for one, how a pro thinks, for 2, how calculations are done, how these things are worked out, these strategies, what the consummate advantage player thinks about and how he thinks, and some of the comments he makes, disparaging to non-practitioners. I mean, it's really good, and it's not my first time with that. I edited Peter Griffin on a couple of occasions, one being The Theory of Blackjack and the other being Extra Stuff. And Peter was another one, just amazing with numbers. You're never going to, try to question his numbers, but what an incredible writer, what a fun writer, to read. And so I've always got to have my, I've always got to be very careful. It's like I got to get psyched up when I sit down to, to edit these guys. And James is certainly one of those. I think people will get a lot of insight out of this book, and I think they'll find it fun to read, and they will know that they're playing these games, correctly.
You don't have any discussions on whether or not an Oxford comma is appropriate on a particular sentence?
We have discussion. Almost everything I do, I have to flag and show it to him. And then I come up against words, and I mean, today's word was tonicity. All right. I mean, I don't know what tonicity means. I had to look it up, and it's good. It expands my vocabulary, right? And so I really do like working on it. But it's
but your vocabulary is already in the 99th percentile, and
well, he's in the 99.8 then, or something. I don't know, because he's coming up just every day. I find another word. I go, gotta look that one up.
All right, this should be fun. Are there any other books coming along?
Yeah, we've got a few more, and I'm going to be, and it's really on me. I laugh every time because Bob Dancer's always had a beef with me for years at how long it takes me to get a book out, right?
No comment.
and I'm guilty, as charged. But this one was, different. We're coming out of the pandemic and all the problems that there were, and with James's book in particular, we had a problem with what we call a generational problem, meaning that the books are in different generations as they come to us, and we got confused and mixed up and started working on the wrong generation, and finally got it laid out and ready to go, and realized that he had sent in another one, had to start over, had to redo it. And so those are things that I should have had control over and didn't, but it's delayed a little bit. But now I'm really I'm truly on a mission to get these things done, because these authors have been waiting. So following James's books will be Blair Rodman's All About Sports Betting, which is another really good book, and that we hope to get out by Christmas time. Then we've got the Houston Curtis's $1 Million Mechanic, which we can talk about a little bit. He was just on a podcast that Richard and I listened to, and then finally the last one there is the
AP collection.
AP collection. That's Michael Kaplan, who's written about advantage players for years and years and years, and it's a collection of his stuff. But we did this one differently. I may have mentioned this last time I was on, but I told Michael I don't want a column collection here because they're just boring. So there's a thread of advantage play throughout the whole thing, where he adds like previews of what you're about to read and why this person is an advantage player. He kind of sets you up to look at the thinking, the mindset, and everything else. And afterwards, he has a conclusion of new things that have happened. And since then, a good example would be Kelly and Kelly's son and
Phil Ivey
and their edge sorting. And he's written about it, but he's also got summaries at the end now of things that have happened since. So this is going to be a good book. I think it's going to be a book that really discusses advantage play and what it really means and how advantage players think. And we're still working on that one. We got a little ways to go to put it together, but that's another one that's scheduled for this year.
He had an article about Richard and Grosjean playing a game somewhere. Did that article make the cut?
Yeah, portions of it. The Grosjean stuff, there's a lot of Grosjean stuff in this one. And it's really almost, as it stands right now, it's kind of an amalgamation of, he's done 2 or 3 articles about Grosjean. And that was one of them when Richard and James were doing their craps play, their card craps play. And that was written up in New York Times Magazine. And there were some other ones he's done. So there's sort of like a merging of articles about Grosjean in this book. You'll get some really cool insight again into these people. And that story will be in there.
Very good. Well, Richard will be little Joe again.
So you mentioned the Houston Curtis book.
Right.
And now what is that book about?
All right, the Houston Curtis thing is really, I think it's really important, the backstory here. Houston, nobody knew this about Houston. He was running the game, Molly's Game, which became Molly's Game. Molly was just a worker there, and she actually took over the poker game, a hostile coup, some sort. But it was originally started by Tobey Maguire, who was Spider-Man, and Houston Curtis. And they were friends. And Houston was a producer. He did a lot of the early bum fight stuff and, that sort of thing. He did the Ultimate Blackjack Tour. He was the producer on that. And unbeknownst to everybody, I worked with him on the Ultimate Blackjack Tour, where we had some of the best gamblers in the world, both from poker and blackjack. And unbeknownst to any of us, Houston was a very extremely talented card mechanic who had played a lot of high-stakes games and had cheated in a lot of high-stakes games and taken off games throughout his life. And he never told anybody about this until he finally did. And they did a book about it that he brought to me called, I think, $1 Million Hollywood Heist, I think it's called.
Yes.
And, is that it? Where he talks about, the true story of Molly's Game and how it really went down. Well, I declined to publish that because to me, there was just too much potential for liability. There were just too many names. And, that's just not what we do. We do books on how to. We don't do books on, tell all stuff. And it was, out of my area. I didn't want to do it. So he got it published by a wing of the National Enquirer, which makes sense, right? Take it to where they know it, right? Go to where somebody can handle it.
Defending lawsuits.
Exactly. So after that was published by a National Enquirer group, he came to me with a second book called $1 Million Mechanic, which is a how-to on how these cheating maneuvers are used and how they're done. Now that I'm happy to do because everything's already been put out there now by, so anything that's brought up in the second book has already been out there by the first book. So I'm allowed to, we're allowed to do that with pretty much impunity. And so we're going to do the $1 Million Mechanic book. But it's interesting now, the fallout is everybody's starting to hear about these things because Houston, in the meantime, got a job with Bally Corp. And they are putting together, or they're running now a poker show called Live at the Bike. And it's one of these streaming live poker shows, which got taken off by a guy named Mike Postel, if everybody knows that story.
Well, no, I think you're confused a little bit. So Mike Postel was up at a Northern California casino.
I know.
Card room.
Correct.
Okay, but that wasn't Live at the Bike, right?
No, but it was a live streaming show.
Oh, yeah.
So see, that's the point. Is everyone? Postel took off this live streaming show, so now Houston Curtis is in charge of another live streaming show, and Houston Curtis is a known cheat. So everyone's saying, why would you put the cat? I mean, the how they say that the rooster, the cat in the hen house, or whatever.
Yeah. But also there's also the connection that Postel was on the Ultimate Blackjack Tour too. And,
yeah.
So
there's a lot of strange things that happen there, and I don't think there was anything. I don't know how possible. Well, there's also the Russ Hamilton thing. You bring Russ Hamilton into it, and Russ is the one that put Postel on there, and Russ is another guy who known for cheating. The things that they did in the poker world. So now Houston goes on this show, which is, what's the name of that show?
It's Joey Ingram's podcast.
Right.
I don't know what the name of it is.
Yeah, he's the main podcaster in the poker world right now. He's like the Joe Rogan of the poker world podcasting, I think. And immediately, as soon as it is shown that Houston Curtis is going to come on, everybody starts piling on. How dare you? How dare they? How could he be in this position before the thing even starts? And Houston texts me and he goes, "You going to help me out?" I'm like, "Oh no, I don't want to do that. I don't want to go in there and, then they're going to just turn on me. I don't want to do this, but hey, he's one of my boys, right?" So I go in and I post and I go, "If you want to stop a theft, who better than a thief?" Right?
Yeah.
And to my amazement, people agreed with me more than got on my case about it. So
there's two things about that. Like when I was a dealer, I only worked in two casinos. I worked at the Golden Nugget, and then I worked at this place called the Castaways that was where the Mirage sits today. But in both places, they had old-time thieves that were now working for the casino, and their job was to catch other guys who might come in and try to whack the casino.
Sure.
And so I listened to the podcast when Curtis went on it, and he really did well. And it seemed like he kind of turned around the attitude of Joey Ingram, who was really combative when the interview started.
He turned it around incredibly. Because I don't know if you were reading, we weren't watching it together. You were watching it wherever you were. I was watching it at the office. And I was reading the comments. And, oh, man, the vitriol. I mean, it was, oh, boy. It was really bad. They hated Houston big time. And as he went on, and as they got into this subject, saying, he's got the job. He'd be crazy with all the scrutiny and eyes on him to do anything wrong. And who better to catch somebody for this? Remember the old TV show, It Takes a Thief or To Catch a Thief or something with Robert Wagner, right? Yeah, same idea, right? And it's like, who better to keep it straight? And that was, the rest of what I did. I said, it takes a thief to catch a thief. And this sounds like a very intelligent hire to me, as far as I'm concerned. And by the time it was over, and Houston, I got to say, he swayed them when he started showing his mechanics, when he started doing his card tricks. Joey Ingram was like falling down on the floor. He was so amazed by this, right? And everything changed. And they started following that same idea. It was like, you're right. I mean, who would you rather have in charge to protect you than a guy who knows how it's done?
Well, also, he does have a big producing background. It wasn't like they just hired this guy off the street. I mean, He is a producer. He's produced a lot of stuff. And the company that took over the show, so like Live at the Bike had been around for years, and the person who was producing it left and went to The Hustler. And then another company came in and bought the rights to it. And apparently the guy who bought the rights is a former partner of Houston's. So they had produced stuff together, apparently, and so it seemed like a very natural hire. Yeah,
well, he's very good. I mean, his main vocation is production of movies and TV. That's what he does, and he's got a really good background in that. But he also just happens to have this other background, which is perfect. So it was great. I watched it, and everybody was all of a sudden like, now they're interested in this book. I'm like, all right, way to go. And it was amazing how he was able to fight his way through that and turn them around.
And he is going to be on this show sometime in the next few weeks, actually.
He's very interesting. He's got a lot of stories. I mean, he brings up things all the time that he's never told me before. And I'll say one more thing about that. During the course of all this, he asked me for an introduction to Steve Forty. All right, so we were just talking about James Grosjean, which, I would say today would be held in the highest esteem as probably the top advantage player in the world right now. And if there was ever anybody, before him who was on his level, that would be Steve Forty, and in my opinion. And I introduced them, and they hit it off, and they're buds. So all of a sudden, you got Forty reading his stuff and adding to it. And I think Steve's going to write the foreword. And,
wow.
And this is going to be an amazing book. I mean, you're going to have Houston and Steve, both pitching in on this, I think. I'll tell you later if it doesn't happen, but as of now, that's the plan. So, I'm excited.
All right. The Palms opened up. It's the first Vegas casino owned by an Indian tribe. So what do you know about them?
Okay, well, it's the first one completely owned. All right, because Virgin is actually, the casino was run by the Mohegan tribe. So it's not the first to run a casino, but it's the first to be owned and managed. Everybody was interested because this was the last really big one not to open up. We've got some that still haven't opened from Station Casinos. You've got both Fiestas, you've got Texas Station, you've also got Eastside Cannery from Boyd. Those are the only big ones left. There are a few others scattered around, a couple places at Prim, that sort of thing. But this was the last really big one to open, so everybody was really waiting to see what the Palms was going to be. And supposedly the delay had to do with their licensing and a big renovation that they were supposed to do. Well, I don't see any renovation. It opened up and it looks just like the Palms looked before. There's nothing wrong with that.
Didn't it just get renovated before the close?
Yeah, Stations put megabucks into it.
Hundreds of millions. Station put some crazy amount, like $600 million in the renovation, I think, something like that. So what are you going to renovate on top of that? they did certain things like they changed the name of the Ghost Bar back to Ghost Bar. Station puts all this money into it. Ghost Bar is one of the most iconic places ever in Vegas, right? And they changed the name to Apex Social Club. Nice move, right? And it just goes away. Nobody cares anymore. So they changed it back to Ghost Bar, and they did a few things like that. They still haven't opened up the Fantasy Tower, which was a tower where Nove and Alizé and all of those were, those good restaurants were. They haven't opened up that, but the rest of the Palms is open. It looks fabulous, and the games are good. I was a little bit worried because Mohegan came in here, and they went to Virgin and they run the casino there, and they put in a bunch of crappy games, everywhere. The on the tables and on the video poker, right, Bob? There's nothing there. And I was like, well, is that what happens? They all come to Vegas and then they get in lockstep with what's going on, or do they do it the way they used to do it, or the way they did it in the case of San Manuel, which is at the Palms, the way they did it in California? Are they going to keep a pretty liberal stance in their games? Well, they did. And Bob can talk more about the video poker. They've got good video poker there, in my opinion. They've got good sign-up bonuses. I'll let you comment on that in a second. But the blackjack, no 3-2. I mean, all 3-2. No 6-5 anywhere. Mostly 6-deck shoes, but with dealer hits off 17. But double after split, late surrender, resplit aces. So we're looking at under 0.5% casino edge, like about 0.45, 0.46. And then they got a double deck game, which is dealer double deck and dealer stand soft 17, same rules, 0.08% off the top. That is that's as good a game as you're going to find in Vegas. So the games are good, and Bob, you can comment. I thought the video poker is good.
They have a few loose games where you don't get slot club points on.
Yeah, the 10-7 double bonus and the 10-6 double-double.
Yeah. They decide I went in opening night and I actually played slots. And when I went back a month later, because I didn't get any mail, my card is flagged. They don't want my action there.
Oh, wow.
So apparently my reputation precedes me. So I've had a kind of fuck it attitude towards them. I haven't, I was actually optimistic that I would actually be able to teach classes there or have some kind of relationship with them, but that currently doesn't look too likely. So the exact nature of the games, they do have bunches of 8-5 bonus, which is 99.2. And there are some promotions there that I've heard that I don't have the details on that makes that into a positive game, at least on some occasions.
Yeah, I played it. It's, I ran some money through, and I played the 8-5 bonus poker, like 3 and 5 play and, that sort of stuff. You get 1% for every, you get $10 for every 1,000 up to 10,000. So you get $100, so your first 10,000 in play, you're getting 1%. And then if you play on a Sunday, at least
is
when
that
I played,
10,000 per day?
No, this is this is the first time, one time.
10,000.
This is the sign-up bonus.
Okay, good.
So this is just for people who want to go and sign up and get a good game while they do their sign-up. And then for every 10,000, you got a $50 gas card. And then they had a couple of other random bonuses that I did. I picked up another $40 or $50 in free play. So it was roughly a 2% bonus on top of the 99.2. So, anybody who wants to go in and run 10,000 through, and if you're not recognized, then you're probably going to get mail too. So it'll be interesting to see if I get mail. We'll see if they send me mail. I hate hearing what you just said. We'll see.
Yeah, I hate saying it, but I will. I'll go and attempt to have a conversation with them, and we'll see if we can come to some kind of accommodation.
Well, obviously we're the people we're talking to on this show, some of them are in that category that they're not going to want their action and they may run into troubles. But lots of people are going to be just players who want to do better, and they're not going to get flagged, and they're going to get a good deal. That's my point. You're going to get a good deal up to 10,000, and you're going to probably going to get mail. And if you're a blackjack player, you're going to play good games there until they run you out. They're going to try to protect themselves like everybody else does. But for starters, I thought they did a real good job, which leads to what's going to happen at the Mirage. Is the Mirage going to put in good games? You get the Seminoles coming from Florida, and I was talking to people from out there saying that despite a lack of competition there, the Seminoles deal pretty good games. All 3 to 2. All 3 to 2 games, blackjack, that sort of thing, reasonable video poker, the whole deal. So maybe we see something better on the Strip, which would be, kind of cool as well.
That would be.
One more thing about the Palms.
Yes.
Really good buffet. There's only 12 buffets in Vegas right now. And everybody got sticker shock when they looked at the price of the Palms buffet, which was $24.99 for breakfast.
Ooh.
Yeah. And everybody's like, whoa, forget it. Well, we went and checked it out. Me and Andrew Hunt, that we do the
weekly podcast,
our YouTube channel with, and we did a YouTube review of it. And first things first is it's not breakfast, it's brunch. It's a brunch. They've got their carving, and they've got lox and bagels and, all the things that what do you call it? Brisket and, the whole deal. For the money, it is worth it. It's really good. The food was terrific. So I think that they're doing a good job there all the way around. The problem is on Wednesdays, I think it is, they have a lobster buffet for $65. All the main lobster you can eat. I mean, you can go back 2-3 times if you want. Problem is, and you look at other YouTube channels that do this, and you got a couple of girls there going, "This lobster is delicious," and and this is an actual quote. They're sitting there eating lobster, just pigging out, eating lobster, and it looks so great. This drawn butter is so flavorful. And I'm like, okay, and, that's great. What they didn't show you is the lines that go all the way back from the west parking lot all the way to the buffet.
Wow.
Unbelievable. Our whole thing, when we talked about the lobster buffet, was going up and down, showing the lines, going, okay, this is a great deal. Do you want to stand in this line? Is this what you want to do? And so I'm like, okay, this is the advisor. I got to figure out a way in here. So it runs from 4 till 9. I get there at 4. The line's all the way to the back. They started queuing up there at noon.
Jesus.
To get in that line. So I come back at 8:45 when it's about to close, and there's only 20 people in line. And I go, Shazam, right? That's the play. I got it. And I go to get in line. I can't find the opening. And I keep looking to get in line. And there's a security guy there. I go, where's the line opening? He goes, are you kidding? He goes, they shut the line off at 5 o'clock.
For a 9 o'clock close?
Yes. So at 8:45, there were still 20 people in line from 5 o'clock when they shut it off. So you got to know that that's going on before you go there. So that's what's different about the way we do our YouTube and the way the influencers do their YouTube.
Is there a VIP line if you have a card of a certain level?
There wasn't, but I've heard that this has now changed. I've heard that they have now started to address this, and I've got to look into it. But for the the plebes, you're not going to get that stuff, right? I guess you can now maybe Open Table now has reservations, and maybe now they're starting to use buzzers. I've heard all these different things. I don't know. But no matter what you do, unless you're a real high-level guy, you're going to wait. It's to some degree, you're going to wait.
That doesn't sound like fun at all. All right. We have lots more to talk to Anthony about. We're going to have some commercials. The South Point has more than 10,000 games returning at least 99%. This is more such games than anyone else has. Through the end of June, 3 a.m. to 3 a.m., Monday through Thursday, there's a $600,000 spin-to-win promotion. Play 2,500 points at video poker or 750 points at slots or some relevant combination, and spin the virtual wheel at your machine. You can do it 4 times a day. This averages 0.5%. So a 0.5% on the 10,000 for video poker is $50. If you're playing $2 NSU, you can get the 10,000 coin in about an hour. And it's an even game anyway, given the 0.3 slot club. So it's a $50 an hour play with some variance, but it's a $50 an hour play. And it's probably higher than $50. I usually averaged slightly less than 0.5%, but once I got a 50,000 points, which is $150. And so those kind of jack up the average a bit. So it could easily be higher than 0.5%. All right.
If you're serious about card counting, the Blackjack Apprenticeship membership is a great way to learn, train, network, and get the resources you need to succeed. We've had quite a few guests on Gambling with an Edge who exclusively trained and got their start through Blackjack Apprenticeship. Check out the website at blackjackapprenticeship.com. They have member forums, training software, and guides to help you learn. So that's blackjackapprenticeship.com, and you will find a link in the show notes.
Videopoker.com is the best place to play lots of games. If you sign up for the Gold membership, $8.95 a month or $79.95 a year, this allows you to get correction on most of the games. The game of the week is Wheel Poker Deluxe. This is a game where you pay an extra 5 coins per game, meaning triple play costs 20 coins, 5 play costs 30 coins, 10 play costs 55. And the bonuses come on dealt trips, full houses, and quads. Slightly different for Deuce's Wild variations. If you get one of these bonuses, you spin the wheel at the machine. When the wheel spins, it lands on a drawing opportunity. Sometimes it's 100 play 4 to a flush. Sometimes it's 10 play with a pair of aces. Sometimes it's triple play 4 to a royal, etc. There's no skill involved in the hold for the bonus, and the bonus is earned on the draw, meaning that if you know the strategy for the base game, you know the strategy for the Wheel Poker Deluxe version, which adds a bit of EV with a bit of variance. Surprisingly, the triple play version always pays a bit more than the 5 play version. For example, in 9-6 double-double bonus, where the base game is 98.98, the 5 play version of Wheel Poker Deluxe pays 99.31%, the triple play version pays 99.47%. All right, we're back to Anthony Curtis.
Can I say something about
Sure.
your advertisers? About the Blackjack Apprenticeship. You know, we did Colin Jones's book, 21st Century Card Counter, and there are a lot of leaders in there back to his website, which you would expect, you know, in a book. And so I looked at it really closely because I told him I didn't want this to be a commercial selling book. I wanted to make sure there was value in these lead backs, you know, in these links back, you know, through the book and through the ebook and all of that. And there is just a lot of information similar to LVA, where I always say, you know, people, you don't have to join LVA. You can go to LVA and get a lot of information about what's going on. Same thing for people who want to get into counting cards. It's a really good place to start. They've got a lot of videos that are free. They've got a lot of, you know, training things that are free. And then you make your decision if you want to go forward. So that's just an unsolicited plug that I felt like making.
Yeah, I agree.
World Series of Poker is going on the Strip in Las Vegas. So what do you know about that, Anthony?
I don't know very much about it for 2 reasons. One is I haven't gone there yet. Usually I always stick my head in to take a look, but I haven't taken the time to go there yet because it used to be at the Rio, which I can just about walk to from our office. I could if I wanted to. And now I've got to go onto the Strip, and they're charging for parking, although as locals, you know, or if you got the high card, you don't have to. But there's just a bunch of reasons I don't want to go. But also the media just kind of, this whole thing fell out of favor with the media a few years ago, sort of coinciding when they stopped doing the November 9, where they would have this, they would play the main event up till the end of July, and then there'd be a 3-4 month, 5 month wait period, and they would come back in November, and the media would do stories about everything. You just never hear anything. There's never any updates in the papers or anything. And of course, you could find it if you want. You go to WSOP.com and you can see who's winning and so forth. But I haven't heard a lot about it, except that there's been a lot of COVID cancellations. I've heard there's been a lot of problems with COVID there, and with Phil Hellmuth among them. I think he's only played a couple of tournaments because he got sick, and his didn't go away right away, apparently.
Yeah, he finally got cleared and has been playing, but yeah, in the beginning he was out.
Yeah, and others, I heard that there's been quite a few incidences of that.
Have you heard reaction to how they like Bally's as compared to the Rio?
I heard they like it a lot. I've heard that the numbers are up, that a lot of people are playing. So it's not like poker's dead, you know. I mean, I guess they're doing very well, and that's in the face of a whole bunch of competition. There are 6, coinciding tournaments running right now at different places like Aria and Venetian and so forth, and a couple downtown. And so there's a lot of players in town. There's a lot of competition. There's a lot of dilution there. But the World Series of Poker numbers I hear are high, although I haven't confirmed that yet. But everything I've heard, everyone likes it down there. They said there's way more room, that it's just everything about it. The Rio was just falling apart, and a lot of people were sick of the Rio, and they said it's really good.
Well, more places to eat, too.
Yeah.
I mean, the Rio was...
The All-American Grill was past its prime, past its sell date.
But overall, yes, I've heard, really lots of good things. And I wish I had looked at it a little bit closer so I could give a better report to it now, which I will for the next advisor. But I haven't looked at who the big names are winning or anything, and I haven't heard anything along those lines.
Well, in addition to the bigger tournaments that you mentioned, the local places, Orleans, South Point, and several of the others, are spreading a lot more tables than they usually do.
Well, it's interesting because a lot of the smaller poker rooms didn't come back. There were several of them closed, but a few of them that were doing the best, and you just named them, Orleans, South Point, they've kind of, expanded, and they're doing even more. So it's really interesting. Poker just won't die. I just thought poker was going to I reckon that, the fish would get eaten, and they'd stop playing, but you keep getting new generations, and it keeps getting tougher and tougher. I keep hearing things about online. You're playing against programs and bots and everything else. It's scary. But people keep coming and they keep playing. It's a game that everyone thinks they can win at.
Well, it's in the live games, it's so much slower. Like, you will get eaten alive if you go play online, But, if you're playing in a casino poker room, there's still a lot of dead money in there, and the game is slow. So even if you play bad, you're gonna.
Well, it seems to
take
me
you longer to die.
Yeah.
Well, it seems to me that even the online space is still doing well, and a significant for people in Nevada and the other states. A significant development there was the joining of Michigan to the co-op linked up system they have between Nevada, New Jersey, Delaware, and now Michigan. So that's going to liven up those pools, in a big way. But you just have to be very careful about online play. You just do. You're up. You don't know what you're up against there. It's tough.
It's not football season yet, but it is getting there. Circa has made some announcements on a football contest this year. Do you know anything about that? Yes,
they surprised me. Last year they seeded the contest prize pools for Circa Million and Circa Survivor, especially Survivor, with a lot of guaranteed money. So Survivor had a $6 million guarantee, and they did not hit the mark for break even. So that was an overlay, and a fairly significant one. It was a decent overlay, and they came out down, $1 million and a half on that. And it was pretty much thought that they would pull back a little bit this year, but they didn't. And they are going to put up a $6 million guarantee again on the one that didn't fill up last year. So there's, again, another possibility of an overlay. And not only that, but they added another $1 million guarantee, an additional $1 million to what already was in the Circa Millions. So they actually put up an additional $1 million this year to what they did last year. And they're really going for it. Circa is really going for the crown. They already got it. They've already taken the crown from Westgate as the premier contest, and they don't want to give it up. And it's going to be another interesting year. So I guess I got to play the damn football contest again.
But there's no benefit to signing up early, right?
Not that I know of. I wouldn't sign up early for a number of reasons. One is that your money's tied up longer. Two is that as they go farther and they're not liking their numbers and they're nervous, they will put in incentives. Who knows how good they'll be. And some years they've been really great. Some years they're not so much. I'm talking about all the ones combined. One year at Westgate, you got a free night stay every weekend, a free 2-night stay every weekend if you signed up at one point. That was a couple of years ago. And I almost did it just for that, but I was like, nah, I won't go, and I won't have enough friends to give it to, so I didn't do it. But Circa did some things last year that were like, okay, I would just wait. I'd wait as long as I possibly could. If you live out of town, you can still play by using a proxy, and there's a lot of companies that do that. It costs you a few bucks, a couple $100 to do that, but it's a good way to play. And if you got the overlay, you probably still got an overlay. So, this is a fun thing. And Derek Stevens and his crew down there are doing up good. Plus what Circa did you guys hear this about the guys they hired down there? They hired two big names.
Oh, yeah.
Richie Baccelleri, who was, the sportsbook director at Caesars and a number of places, and Nick Bogdanovich, who for years was, the head of at William Hill. And even though William Hill has been, kind of up and down in terms of the way they treat customers and all, Nick's always been a good guy there. He's always been one of the guys that's always advocated for the player, and maybe that's why he's not there anymore. But, they had Nick and Richie are there now too. So I think it's, Circa is just really ascending to the top as far as sports betting goes.
And they're competitive in video poker. If you can handle 8-5 bonus, and they have these
progressives there.
They have the progressives at this bar that has like 100 machines, and the link to bars not that big at both D and Golden Gate, which where the best game is 8-6 bonus poker deluxe, which starts out at 98.15, but it's progressive on the quarter. Progressive is capped at 1077, or 1099, 1199, just a little under WTG. But you have progressives on 50 cents, $1, $2, $5. And so not infrequently, it gets up to be a good game.
Yeah, I've seen that go positive on several occasions.
And once you get on their mailing list, if you keep giving them play, it's the mailers aren't that great, like $25 in free play a week for video poker, but $75 a month of food. And once you get on that list, if you can mini play at all, you stay on that list. And so certainly for locals who can go downtown on a weekly basis, that's a good deal.
Yeah, it is. It is. And, really, the way they do things down there, they're very honorable down there. I can tell a story. I don't think this is talking out of school here, that when they were trying to make that break-even point last year on Survivor, Derek Stevens texted me, and he goes, "Can you come down and can we have a chat about Survivor?" And I'm like, "Sure." And so I go down and I talk to Derek. He's like, "Could you, help us out a little bit with some promo?" And he goes, "We got a little bit of money to spend, for advertising things." And I said, "Look, forget about the advertising." I go, "I know you don't want Circa to be like a coupon place, but we do the member rewards at Las Vegas Advisor, and I would love to have some representation of Circa." So I said, all I'm asking is, I'm not asking you to commit, I'm just asking you to consider. When it comes up to next year, would you consider putting something in member rewards? And he says, yeah. We shook on it, gambler's agreement. And I'll be darned if I don't get a call from him. I didn't have to call him. Coming up to the new year, he calls me. He goes, "Would you like to come down and discuss some member rewards?" And I went down, and they didn't want to do a match play or anything like that, like they do at the D in Golden Gate. But what they gave us was, for all member rewards people who are LVA subscribers, free admission and 2 glasses of champagne in the Legacy Lounge up on top.
That's like the 60th floor, whatever the top level is.
So these are like $18 glasses of champagne. It's like a $36 offer. So a husband and wife or a boyfriend, girlfriend, or whatever, 2 buddies can go up there, see this cool place, each get like a $16, $17 glass of champagne for free. And he didn't have to do that. He's a very honorable guy.
Yeah, I really like the place. And the fact that they kind of were willing to put Bet Bash there, where they had all these sharp guys come in, and my only beef about the place is everywhere is so freaking loud.
Yeah, it is.
It just wherever you go in the place, it's just way too loud.
It's expensive too for downtown. It's an expensive place. That's why
it's like a strip casino. It
really
is.
I know, and that's how they want to be. And you can't get there's no breaks on parking. There's almost no breaks on parking. You can again at the highest level, but that's about it.
And the second highest level, you only need to.
Is that where they're doing it now? Okay.
Yeah.
Actually, can't you still valet at Golden Gate across the street?
Yes.
Yeah, you get 3 hours there.
Yeah.
And you can valet, but you can. I don't know how the valet works, to be honest, because I just always
used to be free. I don't know if it still is, but it used to be free.
Valet is free.
Yeah. So
okay. Self park. You go through and you got to get a ticket, and you got to get it stamped, but you get 3 hours. There's plenty of time, most of the time, to be able to do what you want to do down there.
Some of our listeners enjoy cannabis periodically.
No.
In Vegas and Nevada, it's legal, but not in casinos. Are there places now, or so? What do you know about the places, the cannabis lounges?
Okay, here's the way it works in Vegas and in Nevada. It's legal to buy, but it's not legal to smoke anywhere in public. Essentially, is what it boils down to. So
currently,
yes, currently. So what you do is you buy it. You're supposed to buy it, and then take it to your home or whatever, and smoke it or eat it. Whatever you do. Listen to me sounding like I've never tried it in my life, right? And I'm talking like I'm some kind of expert. But I do know what it smells like. So I know that they're doing it in their hotel rooms.
All that means is you've been in a casino parking lot.
Yeah, exactly. In the parking lots, in the hotel rooms and everything else. But
or on Fremont Street.
Yeah. But more than a year ago, they passed a law allowing what they call consumption lounges. And you have to get a license for it. And they're going to allow them to be built all over. There's going to have 30 different licenses as of now. So you can buy it. And of course, they're going to be built into most of the places that are dispensaries already. So you can buy it there, go through a door into their lounge and smoke it there. And these things have been legal for more than a year, but they haven't completely finished all of the rules. And so people haven't opened any yet. There's only one open. There is one open. It's on the Indian Paiute. It's on the Paiute thing. It's called NU or something, NU. And it's the only one because they dance to a different drum.
But that's 40 miles out of town or something? Or?
It's kind of, I don't know. I think it's on the verge of, I thought it was the verge of downtown. It's not the Paiute Smoke Shop. It's the Paiute Dispensary, which is between downtown and North Las Vegas, I think.
Oh, okay. I thought it was out on the reservation land.
No, it's the same group, but they have this dispensary called, I think, NU or something, and I'm almost positive it's like downtown North Las Vegas area. But again, I don't do it, so I don't know. So don't take me at my word. Just look it up, Google it. But they're coming quickly. They're about to give them the rules, and these places are going to start opening up.
I think I saw on the news within the last few days that they were having a lottery for the licenses.
Probably.
So that was, there are people just waiting to open the doors, but they got to get the licenses. So
yeah, probably. So here's the news, how that affects us, how that affects me. We have run, along with LasVegasAdvisor.com, we ran with Arnold Snyder, Topless Vegas online. It's, like when you look at what I do, basically I'm in the sin business, right? I write about, and do books about gambling and books about the mob and some books about sex, like brothels and things like that. So we're kind of in the sin business, which, by the way, I had a conversation with Heidi Fleiss a couple of days ago. That was cool. But anyway, she's talking about a book or, bringing back a book that she had written months before. But Topless Vegas shut down completely during the shutdown. It was done. It was finished because all of the places closed. And it looked like that thing was gone. Well, Arnold Snyder, who was terrific, he did a great job maintaining it, but he didn't want to do it anymore. He didn't want to start again from scratch. So a new guy named Scott Waller came in, and he has been doing an amazing job. And Topless Vegas Online is now active again and robust, with the emphasis on the last syllable there. And we are going to expand that coverage to cannabis, right? More sin. And we're going to talk about, so anybody who wants to keep up on this, we're going to initiate this really quick about what's going on, where the lounges are going to be opening and what the prices are like and things like that.
Now, I read the first version of Topless Las Vegas. Arnold was a guest on this podcast in the early days when Frank Nealon was a co-host.
Wow.
And so the only thing I remember from that book, well, a lot, but...
Wait, there was a book? I thought it was just a website.
It started as a book.
It started as a book.
Yeah.
And he had every club in town, Arnold had a Peter meter where the strength of the sexiness of the girls, or how it gets you aroused.
Yeah.
Now, does he still use does a new author still use a Peter meter?
I think it was called the statistical likelihood of wood.
Statistical likelihood of wood. Stod?
I think it was something like that, right? And a lot of those devices are still in there, things we did for fun. But yeah, it was originally a book, a trade paperback book. And it didn't do well. And I was like, why wouldn't this do well? And I thought, who wants to carry around a big book, right? Of this going in the strip club. So we made it a pocket guide. And that still didn't do well. And then we made it a website, and then it did well until it closed down. So now it's coming back. I think it's good. I'm not much of a strip club guy either, but it's interesting. A lot of things are happening out in those places. So people who like that entertainment, it's the place to go.
Yeah, and I would think that if you had a buzz from marijuana, that they would be more interesting.
Hey, some of these places, you don't realize how good the food is at some of these places. We got a deal in the LVA's member rewards book with Treasures for like 25% off your thing. They got a steakhouse there that is outstanding. A really great steakhouse there. And, a lot of these places have their own restaurants on site, and they have good food. I mean, they're places unto themselves, and if you like that kind of entertainment, there's definitely levels of which ones are better than others. That's for sure.
All right. We got about 5 minutes left. The Plaza's doing some interesting things downtown, right next door to the Circa.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about that?
Well, another one. Yeah, another one of my favorites down there. I really like the Plaza. They work with us. I like people who work with us. I don't like people who don't. Station. People who don't work with us, I just don't like. Boyd. But I mean, Plaza's really good to our customers, but they're also trying very hard to elevate that place and make it better. And they just made a big announcement that they're going to add a new bar. So if you think about the Plaza, there's that portico at front with all the lights. How many times have you seen that in movies? Over and over and over again. It's one of the iconic shooting areas in Vegas. And they're going to turn that into a circular bar there, right there in the front, outside.
Open air?
Yeah, open air.
That's interesting.
And now they're not going to let cars go through anymore because think of that combination, right?
Go figure.
Yeah. But so they're going to have the circular bar. They're going to have, it's going to be connected to an entrance into a new casino, a brand new casino. I guess you could call it an add-on, but I think it's going to be separate. It's going to be completely smoke-free. The only one, completely smoke-free.
Wow.
Yeah.
Boy, that's been a long time in coming.
Yep.
The only one downtown. The
only one downtown, because they are doing it. They are doing it at Park MGM. That the whole place is smoke free there. But this is the first one downtown. It's also going to be very social media friendly because they've got a thing going with Brian Christopher, this guy who does this play slot machines, on YouTube and makes who knows how much money by all the people that watch him pull slot handles. You're going to have to explain that to me. But anyway, but he does real well for them. And so they're going to have a lot of his branded slots. They're going to play music there that you can have. See, a big problem with making videos is if there's music that needs to be licensed, you can't play those videos without getting in trouble. So they're going to play music that doesn't need to be licensed, so you can do that. Then they're opening a Pink Box Donuts thing, which doesn't mean anything to me. I don't eat donuts anyway, and they're going to build out, when they build out the casino annex, on top of that, they're going to have outdoor dining at Oscars, a patio area there. So they keep getting better and better. And at low levels, they got really good games there too. And they even their roulette, which is not a great game, they got the only lower minimum, meaning $15 as opposed to $25 and up with single zero, the only one in Vegas. So.
Well, they are at the west end of the Fremont Street Experience, so you can still see part of the canopy, but from that new bar, you basically see the backside of a stage on, and so it's right where the circus kind of is right across the street from Golden Gate, and you see the back of a stage, so you can't see much happening on.
No, but
Fremont
you can see
Street
the sides. You can hear. That's the one thing.
You will definitely hear. The Fremont Street Experience is noisy, especially near a bandstand.
You get to watch the freak show. The people that in and out. Not that they all are, but a lot of them are. And you get to see some of that. What I like about the Plaza is it's a really good alternative to having to stay at Circa. You know what I mean? It's it's way less expensive. We just talked about how much we like Circa, but it is expensive. And the Plaza I like them too, and it's way less expensive for everything. Less expensive to eat, less expensive to stay, and you're right there. You want to go see Circa? Walk across the street. It's great. And I think that's how they're positioning themselves, is saying, stay with us, go see Circa, come back. It makes sense. It's Jonathan Jostle down there. He's a smart guy.
All right. Thank you, Anthony. At the end of our show, we have a recommended. So, Richard, do you have something to recommend to our audience?
Yeah, I'm recommending a guy on Instagram, and the Instagram handle is Card Magic by Jason. And this guy puts up these short card magic videos almost every day, and the guy is phenomenal. He is just amazing. So it's a lot of it is sort of gambling related, being able to run up poker hands or find the aces, things like that. So if you're interested in that kind of stuff, this guy is the most amazing guy that is out there on Instagram that I've found. I follow a lot of magicians, and as I say, this guy is really incredible.
I wrote that one down. That's good.
So I was going to talk about a new book, and that I have read a quarter of so far, but I really like it. So I decided to save that for next week. And I want to talk about the Binion Steakhouse, which is now open. And this is it's a quality eatery downtown. It is, and related to that is, in approximately a month, Binions and Four Queens are joining their slot clubs, which is currently, they've had very similar offers at each place, but now they're going to join. They'll be part of the same slot club, and apparently if you get mailers to both of them, you'll only get one mailer now, but it has the potential of being larger. So whether it's when they combine, it may be good news or bad news, nobody knows yet, but it's not readily announced. I haven't read it anywhere, but they are talking about it in those casinos that, yes, they are joining, and probably August 1st is the rollout date.
Their slot club at the lower level used to be really, really good. It's still pretty good. They tightened it up a little bit, but they're correct me if I'm wrong on this one, but I mean, they're both a free play and a cashback or free play and a comp place, right? They do.
Yes.
Both. So yeah, it's a good place to play. All right, here's mine. I'm always doing a show when I come in here. I'm doing another show at the same place, because last time I talked about Illuminate at the Strat, and it's still my favorite show in town in terms of what I think is value for most people. But they also opened a new one there called Rouge, and it's the latest topless show to open. And, there was sort of people were wondering what was going to happen after COVID. For some reason, there seemed to be a stigma on topless shows, those kind of shows. They were talking in the industry about whether they were going to survive for some reason. I don't know why that would make a difference. But this is a topless show that came back. And it's not just about the toplessness of this show. It's the side acts. Some of the best I've ever seen. It's a variety show. And the acts, all of the performers are almost all Russian or Slavic of some sort. And I usually kind of get bored by all this bendy juggly stuff, juggling and all this stuff. Yeah. These guys who bend themselves up and all this business. But there were just some feats of balance and strength in this thing that I just couldn't believe. And I've seen, it's like with
like
magic.
A Cirque show.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like the performers are like in a Mystere or something. Where,
yes.
So that's the kind of acts?
Similar along that line, but really more athletic. Obviously, they're all athletes, these people. But these are just some strength things that I just couldn't even figure out. And I just never seen. I was going to say, it's like magic. You say, well, I've seen that trick a million times. So I've seen these balancing things, but these are different. And it's really good. I love this show, Rouge. It was really, really good. It's priced well, like Illuminate. We're trying to get a deal for it like we did get with Illuminate. But if you want to see a jiggle show in Vegas, that would be my choice right now at the Strat, Rouge.
are there even many choices for those types of shows? I don't.
They're around. Yeah, they're still around, but they're all way more expensive. This one's a better price point. And you know what? It's the coolest. It is the best theater in Vegas for me, because it's an intimate theater that it doesn't matter. You can get the cheap seats and you can still see, but it's the only one I know of where the restrooms are attached to the theater. You don't have to go out. You literally go through a side door and you go to the restroom and you're still in the theater. I really like the Strat. I just like what they're doing there too.
Well, the Illuminate has Groupon discounts, so it's possible Rouge does too.
They are doing some stuff. Our deal with Illuminate is better than the Groupon, the one that we're doing in the member rewards book. So we are negotiating with them right now to have something similar for Rouge, but they're different producers, so you don't get the same result all the time. But yeah, every time, always these things, check Groupon, check Ticks for Tonight, check whatever you can, check LVA. Don't pay retail. That's just basic strategy. Do not pay retail.
Yeah, it's against my religion. A slight correction to what you just said. In the South Point showroom, where they have shows generally Friday, Saturday, Sunday of acts of various sorts, they have restrooms inside the showroom as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like the South Point does some good stuff too, like the Dirty at 12:30. That is a great show, man. Those are like blue comics, blue comedy, and that place gets so full, and it's just a fun time. It's like 12:30 on, what is it, Friday night going into Saturday or Saturday night going into Sunday?
One of the two, I don't know.
Yeah. I think Saturday night going into Sunday, I think.
And it may be closed right now because Wes Winter, who does dancing, who plays music, he's not in that lounge because they're setting it up as poker tables, and they're as tournament overflow, because it's right next to the showroom, and or not the showroom, the whatever lounge.
Poker room.
Yeah, poker room is next to the lounge where they have the
right. Well, if it's paused, it's just a temporary pause, because they've been running it for weeks and weeks now since the pandemic, shutdown was ended. So
yeah, and for years before the pandemic. So
it's a good deal. Again, everything about it. I hate to be like this, but just because they're an advertiser, but South Point's just one of the best casinos in Vegas. It just is.
All right, thank you, Anthony.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Richard. Go out and hit lots of royal flushes, everybody. Good day.